Hi everybody, my name is Samantha and I am the youth librarian for the Kansas City Public Library's Northeast branch. I also happen to be an illustrator. I currently illustrate and make comics and do all that fun stuff in my free time. So this is something that I'm really passionate about and something that I really love. So, how are these lessons going to work? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for a minute about something to do with graphic novels or comic books that I think is important to discuss. And then I'll do a short drawing tutorial that will show you some sort of technique or style that you can use when you make your own comics. And then I will leave you with a takeaway project that you can then do after this live stream is over, and then you can share it with me after the fact. And then at the very end, I'm going to share with you some free resources where you can read comics on your own. We have lots of the library, and then there's a lot out there that are outside of the library. So this is going to be a pretty informal thing. I have some ideas about what is good to learn when you're learning about comics, but really I want to teach you guys what you guys want to learn. So if you have any questions about comics, making comics, comic styles, comic history, anything like that, feel free to put it in the comments and I will do my best to build my lessons around that. So please leave suggestions at any time. Whenever I do classes with kids that involve cartooning or drawing or comics, I often get the comment from kids, "Oh, I'm not good at drawing." But I'm here to tell you that that is baloney. You do not have to be a great artist to tell good stories, and that's a fact. Every artist started somewhere. You have to make a lot of bad art before you can make good art. I made a lot of really bad comics when I was a kid, but that's how I learned how to make good comics as an adult. I want you to know that you don't have to be like the best artist in the world to make comics. You just need to be able to tell a good story or know how to tell a good joke, really. So with that said, I hope you're feeling confident to start drawing because we're gonna dive into this. This is when you're gonna have to have your paper and your drawing tools ready. What I want you to do is grab your drawing tool. I'm gonna be using a marker that's nice and thick and bold so that you can see. Today we are going to learn about different face emotions using really simple lines. An important part of a good comic is how you're telling the story through the characters' faces. If you can draw really strong emotions, then you can make your story more impactful. You can make your joke really land. So we're gonna get started drawing, and what I'm gonna do is every time I draw, I'll make sure to wait a few seconds so that you have time to catch up. And feel free to pause at any time if you feel like you need a little extra time. Here we go. So the first thing I want you to do is to draw a straight line down the middle of your page. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's another thing I always hear is, "I'm not an artist, I can't even draw a straight line." Well, guess what? No artist can. That's what rulers are for. And then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna cut your paper into 3 sections. So I'm gonna go like this and like this. So now you should have 6 sections, and we're gonna make 6 different emotions that you will then be able to reference later when you're making your own comics. So inside each box, you're going to draw 2 circles for the eyes. Each of the faces are going to start off the same way. Okay, so using the basic 2 circle eyes, which is the most simple way you can draw cartoon eyes in comics, we're going to make 6 different emotions using just slightly different lines. So the first emotion we're going to do is happy, which should be our most basic emotion, right? Should be the one we're feeling all the time. I'm going to write happy down here. Obviously, we all know how to draw a smiley face. But the 2 important things if you really want to make a character look really happy are the eyebrows and the cheeks. Because when we smile really, really big, our cheeks push our eyes up a little, kind of make a little bump there, and then our eyebrows go higher. So let's draw the pupils. And we're going to draw the cheek lines to really emphasize how happy the character is. And then the eyebrows. And that will really make your character look extra happy. So if you're trying to convey a really, really strong, happy emotion, like, oh, they just opened up a present, then this is gonna help really convey that. And if you want, you can make them smiling with their teeth. But really the cheeks and the eyebrows are the 2 most important parts for making a really happy looking face. The second one we're gonna do is sad. And for sad, the most important thing is how you draw the eyebrows. But one of the fun things you can do with the sad face is how you draw different kinds of tears, and I'll show you that in a second. With sad eyes, you want to actually make the pupils, which is the black part, a little bit bigger, and I'll tell you why in a second. When you draw the pupils, draw an extra circle on the top left and fill the rest in. When you do that, it makes it look like the eyes are shining. And the reason that this is important in sad eyes is because when we're sad, our eyes fill up with tears and then they look all sparkly. Then of course, opposite of a smile, you want to make the face go down. And then the important thing are the eyebrows. So the eyebrows, instead of going up, are going to go off to the side and slant upside down, like this. See how much of a difference that made? And then, like I said, tears, if you want your character to not just be like sad, but actually crying. Depending on how you draw the tears, a lot of times convey how hard the character is crying. So you can do just like a tear on the corner of the eye, like they're about to cry. Or if you want to make them really crying, you can make the tears coming out individually. Or one of my favorite ways to show crying, kind of like the crying emoji, drawing a line coming straight out and then bubbling down at the bottom. Especially, this one's good if they're like yelling, crying, going like, ah! So you can even go, ah. Or you can have them closing their eyes and crying like that. But the important thing is the eyebrows pointing down. That will really make a character look sad. So the next emotion we're going to draw is scared. And scared is fun because you can make a character look more or less scared depending on how big you make their eyes and their face. So obviously when we're scared, we open up our eyes really, really wide. If you make the eyes even bigger on the face, it's going to make the character look more scared. So for scared faces, one of the big things is the pupil size. For scared eyes, you want to make the pupils really small. See how that already looks scared because the pupils are so small compared to the ones up there? And then one of the things I like to do too is you can draw the eyebrows in a lot of different ways, but the higher the eyebrows are, because the more scared you are, the wider you open your eyes. The mouth, again, you can also draw really small. So this would be like a kind of scared. But if you wanted them to look really scared, like they're jumping, you can open up their mouth wider because they're yelling. And then what I like to do with the scared face is put lines under the eyes, like stress lines. Then that makes them look really stressed out. And sometimes if you want to draw an exclamation point over their head, that helps too make them look scared. This can also be worked with surprise too. Surprise and scared are kind of similar, except that when you're surprised, you yell and then you're happy. But when you're scared, you yell and you stay scared. So the next emotion we're going to do is angry, which is always a really, really fun one. So obviously with anger, the big thing are the eyebrows pointing down. We all know when we're really mad, we scrunch our forehead up really tight. So the sharper you make the eyebrows pointing down and the more lines you add, the more angry this guy's gonna look. So let's make some strong eyebrows. And then with this one, you can make the pupils look like anything, but I find if you make them small, like when someone's scared or surprised, it kind of conveys a little better. Like that. And then obviously, not happy face. And the more emphasized you make this, the more mad they're gonna look. And then if you really wanna get in there, you can add lots of wrinkles on the forehead. That'll just make someone look more angry. So the more lines you add, probably the more angry they're gonna look. You can add stress lines under the eyes. This is me when I wake up in the morning. You can also make them yelling, if you wanted to make them yelling something. That's what an angry face looks like. Very simple. Eyebrows are the most important part though. Okay, oops. The second to last one we're gonna do is confused. And again, this one, the eyebrows, as you can tell on a lot of these, the eyebrows can make a huge difference on how you're conveying a different emotion. So this one, we're gonna do confused. We're gonna make regular pupils. And as we all know, when we're confused, we raise an eyebrow, right? That's what even puppies do this. So the way you draw that is one eyebrow goes down like this, almost like it's sad. Kind of looks like it's gonna be a sad face, right? But then, when you take the other one up there, it looks like a confused face. And depending on if the character is talking or just looking confused, you can kind of draw a little mouth right there. Anytime you want to really emphasize a negative emotion, if you add lines under the eyes, that helps make it seem more extreme. And then you can always draw a question mark over the head to really emphasize they don't know what's going on. But the eyebrows are the most important part of that. The last emotion we're going to draw is my favorite emotion and the one I experience the most. And that is annoyance. As an oldest of 4 children, I experienced annoyance for most of my life. So this one is really fun to draw. It's really similar to anger. So you have to be careful how you're drawing the eyebrows, otherwise they can look mad. So obviously you want to draw the eyes rolling because that's the best way to show someone's really annoyed is they're rolling their eyes. So if you make it kind of look like they're rolling their eyes. And then the big part are the eyebrows. So annoyed eyebrows are going to sit flat right on top of someone's eyes. They're not going to be angled in or down because if you do it this way, you're going to get a mad face. And if you do it this way, you're going to get a sad face. We're going to do just straight across. And then for the mouth, I think when you're annoyed, you usually aren't making a strong face. You're just kind of, ugh, I'm annoyed. A really like straight mouth or slightly slanted mouth, just a line, is one of the best ways to do that. So if you go like this, that's a real annoyed face. That's the one I draw the most because I'm annoyed a lot, guys. Oh, I forgot to write the emotions underneath. So you all now know the basics of some of the emotions that you can draw when you're making a comic strip. And now that you have this, you can go back as you're drawing comics and think, how did I draw an angry face? Or how did I draw a happy face? And then you can look at this as kind of a reference. There's lots of ways you can kind of tweak them to make them a little different. But now it's time for your takeaway project. So I'm going to show you. Let me change out my paper real quick. Okay, fresh piece of paper. So I'm going to show you what you can do for your takeaway project. Whoops, my paper is sticking to me. Ah, this is why I need a whiteboard. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, now you have a new piece of paper. You're going to turn it sideways. And this is what your takeaway project is going to be. Practicing drawing different face emotions and then trying to make that work into a story. So I want you to cut your paper in half so that you have two sides. And then I'm going to have you draw a stick figure character with a head but no face. And you can give it hands, you can give them a hat. It's however detailed you want to get, but it doesn't have to be very good. This is just practicing drawing faces. So you're drawing the same character in each box. And then what you're going to do after this, you don't have to do this now, but for later, is you're going to ask a family member or a friend who you're with to give you two random emotions from your emotion page we just made. They can give you whichever ones they want, you don't get to choose. So let's say they choose sad and then angry. You're going to then draw those emotions. So here's a sad person. And then you're going to draw angry. Okay? And then what I want you to do is to somehow connect these two emotions with the story. So let's say the sad character is saying, all of my chicken nuggets are gone. No, they're so sad. He's gonna be crying. And then why is the character angry? Because my sister ate them all. So this is what I want you to try to do, is take two different emotions and connect them together to tell a joke or to tell a story. And I think that's a really good way to practice using how you can learn how to draw emotions to make a joke land too. Because the more angry you make this character about the fact that sister ate chicken nuggets, the funnier the joke's going to be, right? So this is your little takeaway project. I want you to practice. And if you guys draw something really great, I would love to see it. You can just tag the library in any posts you make of comics, or you can message them to us or however, and I would love to share them. So I hope you learned something. And I really, really want to see what you guys ended up creating. But now I'm going to share with you guys some free resources that you can utilize to read comics or learn about comics on your own. And of course, the Kansas City Public Library, as always, has Hoopla, which is a really great comic reading source. They have lots of comics on there. So if you go to kclibrary.org, you could read comics from there. And then also there's a website called Go Comics. It's gocomics.com. And all of those really great funnies that you read in the newspaper as a kid, Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes, all that, and plus some more popular series now like Big Nate and Phoebe and her Unicorn, you can read them free every day on this website. Obviously, a lot of us don't get newspapers anymore, and so we don't have exposure to those really great funny comic strips. I'm so happy you guys tuned in, and next week we'll be learning how to draw speech bubbles that match the emotions that we learned how to draw today. Thank you so, so much for listening in. I hope you all make some great comics. There's lots of, we have lots of downtime right now, and there's never a better way to talk about things going on in your life than making a funny comic out of it. I feel like that's a really great way to deal with strong emotions, especially. And just remember that every artist starts out as a bad artist, and the best way to learn how to draw comics is to practice and read lots of comics. So thank you guys so much for listening in, and I will see you. Bye!